Welcome to the Women in Publishing Summit. I'm your host, Alexa Bigwarf. I am here today with Diane Lasek, who is representing ListenUpIndiePub. Let's tell you who she is and what we're talking about. So, audiobooks continue to be one of the fastest growing segments in publishing, and authors who self-publish their audiobooks can now design a production, marketing, and distribution strategy that works best for them. ListenUpIndiePub's Diane Lasek will demystify the process, and we're going to talk about through the steps. We're going to talk about identifying your narrator's voice, how to build a production timeline, and go over marketing and distribution options. So this is going to be a jam-packed session that we have today. So Diane herself promotes the audiobook production and distribution services that ListenUp offers to the indie arena. She enjoys providing information and guidance to indie authors and publishers and implementing strategies that help authors gain more listenership and success with their audiobooks. Diane has a long career in content creation, marketing, and distribution, and for the last 5 years, she's been busy building the platform for ListenUp. So you can visit the website at listenupindie.pub. And, welcome, Diane. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Alexa.
So, audiobooks, I think we're silly to not consider them anymore because the more, you and I met in person at Digital Book World, which was amazing.
Yes.
But I remember listening to the Alexa guys, not my guys, but the Amazon Alexa guys. Talking about what's to come, and they were talking about how they are working to get Alexa as an auto feature, an auto add-in in every vehicle that comes out starting in 2020. So we consume so much stuff by audio now because we're so fast-paced and on the go all the time. So audiobooks, it's scary though. I have never done an audiobook before. I want to, but let's just talk about it.
Yeah. So I guess because I work in this with audiobooks every day, there's nothing scary about audiobooks. Nothing. It's a process. As an author, you've got to think about a couple things at the start. And the first is when you plan to put the audiobook out. If you know you want to have an audiobook, when do you plan to put it out? Are you going to have an ebook and print come out first and then make money off of that, save that money and produce an audiobook? Or are you going to have the audiobook come out with the ebook and print at the same time? And most indie authors that I work with, they wait because they're trying to make money off the ebook. They want to put that out first, make money, take that money and put it to the audio. Either way is fine. But with both of those scenarios, you've got to put as much marketing effort into marketing the audiobook as you are marketing the ebook and the print.
Yeah, that's a very good point because I think a lot of people just assume that, okay, it's on audiobook. Now people keep talking about how much audiobooks, everybody wants an audiobook.
Right.
So do awesome.
It's still discoverability. You still got to say, first think about that thing. Am I going to put it out at the same time? Am I going to wait? And again, what I'm saying is most indie authors I work with, they want to make money off the ebook print, and then they go to the audiobook. And with that, they get their audiobook out, and it's a second marketing time that they go out into the world. Hey, my audiobook's available. And they might get a second group of people that love their ebook and said, oh, it's on audio now. Let me go buy it, right? So I want to listen to it in my car or when I work out or when I'm cooking. Because those are the 3 times that people are mainly listening to audiobooks.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're going to help us demystify the process.
Right.
So, it is scary for a lot of authors because it's a completely unknown element. Most people don't have, I can see in the background behind you, there's all kinds of fancy schmancy things going on behind you.
Right.
Lots of people will try to record their own. But what's the flaw in that? So
you want a professional audio production studio to put your book through, okay? You do. You don't want to do it in the closet and then use Audacity, to do the post work on it and then send it out there. You want a professional audio book. We're a white glove audio production company from start to finish. You have selection of over 150 narrators. So you're talking to someone on the phone. First interaction is you go to listenupindie.pub and you click, I want to make an audiobook. And then you put in some information. I email you and say, let's set up a time to talk. And then we set up a time to talk, and I say, what do you want this narrator's voice to sound like? And then you let me know. And you say, I'm not really quite sure. And then I'll ask you, a number of questions about, is this person from the North, from the South, Midwest, etc., male, female, age range, 35 to 50, 20 to 35. And then I talk to my casting director, and she puts together samples of people that we have that we think would be good for your book. Mm-hmm. And then I email you those samples, you listen to them, and normally an author will email back, I like Kevin, or I like Jeremy. And then I request a few pages of one of your chapters, and you email that back to me. I send it over to casting, and they get Jeremy or Kevin or whoever you want to audition. And then we send you the audition, and normally 98% of the time, it's perfect. Mm-hmm. Jeremy is exactly the kind of voice I want, and here are some notes that I want him to, take into consideration about other character voices that are going to come through, and here are the other characters in the book. And then we take those notes to Jeremy so that he's fully aware of and informed of what you are looking for these other character voices. And then I send a production agreement. You fill that out and sign it. And then we take half of the payment up front and half at the end after you've listened to the final audiobook. After you've listened to it and said, it's perfect, thank you very much, here's the final payment, okay? If there are any problems with the audiobook, as the author makes note of that, and then we bring Jeremy back in for pickups, meaning that he fixes whatever, say a name is mispronounced, and then Jeremy will go in and fix it. Then we'll send it back to you, and you say, perfect, mm-hmm. And then it's ready to go for distribution, okay?
Got it.
So that's the process.
So let's talk about, you mentioned the price, half up front and half at the end. So what can people kind of budget for if they're going to do a service like this?
Okay, let's start out with word count of your book. So if you've got 50,000 words, you can do this yourself. Divide it by 9,000, and that's the amount of hours that come up per finished hour book. You take that and you multiply that by $350. Okay. $350 per finished hour. And that's the entire book. That's everything. That's studio, narrator, mastering, quality control, everything. Okay? That's how much it is. So whatever that is, divide that into two, pay half of that up front and half at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple $1,000. We should estimate between at least $1,500 and $3,000.
Exactly.
But before anybody panics and has a heart attack about that, because I know a lot of people are bootstrapping and trying to get through there. I mean, the alternative is hundreds of hours of your own time trying to figure out the right equipment, trying to get recorded at the right place, editing, right. All these other things that by the time you're done with it, you may as well have just paid somebody else to do it for you.
So I'm going to give you some examples. This happens at least, I would say, twice a month to me. And these are phone calls from people that go into ListenUpIndiePub. I want an audiobook. They fill it out. And they're really honest with me, and they tell me everything. And they basically say, I completely just wasted a couple $1,000. The person that did this is mad at me now and won't give me any of my audio files. Wow. This happens all the time. They get into situations where maybe that person doing this recording stuff maybe thought they were getting more money, and they won't release the files. Or they only give them half. And so they're like, I only have half of the files done with this narrator, and now they're gone and they moved away. And so I think I'm going to have to start all over. I'm like, you sort of are going to have to start all over now. You know what I mean? And they've just wasted money. So yes, it happens a lot out there.
What about, you were telling me when we were discussing this earlier about people who on the other side try to do it themselves and then wind up having to go back through you guys anyway because their files won't pass.
Yes. And so they spend $200 per finished hour for post, just the post-production. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of this going on out there.
So, I relate it to what it was like when I did my first book. And I hired out the editing, I hired out the cover, but I did the layout by myself. So there were templates that I was able to, you can go to ACX and you can learn what your specifications have to be, right? So I decided to do it all on my own. I laid out the book. I did what I thought was right. I published the book. And then I realized that my book did not look like other people's books in the bookstores because I didn't know industry standards. I didn't know, I had put so you can do it by yourself. This is the point I'm going to make here, is that you can do it by yourself. But if you're looking to have an audiobook that libraries will pick up for their stuff, that you're going to actually be selling, sometimes it is worth it, and many times it is worth it to hire the people who are professionals and have them go forth. And I've already decided when I move to audiobooks, I'm going to have someone else do them for me. So let's talk about genres here. We have a bunch of different genres, from anywhere from nonfiction and children's books and all the way through fiction authors that are participating in this summit. So what typically does best with audiobooks? Is that something you can answer generically?
Well, I can answer that. Romance, thriller, fantasy, biography of popular people, celebrities, self-help. And self-help, a new area right now for audiobooks is meditation videos or audiobooks, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new thing that's kind of being pumped out there. History and also humor. Think David Sedaris type humor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good to know.
So if it's self-help and it's business related or, that kind of book, and that person is already a public speaker, then they most certainly can be the narrator of their audiobook, and they probably will want to be. And so we can arrange to have one of our partner studios for them to go into whatever city they're in the U.S. and have them record there. And we can Skype in our director. And then from there, those raw files will be delivered to us and we can do the post-production to complete the audiobook.
Okay.
And fantastic. I do that all the time.
That's great to know. Because I do know a lot of authors who really want to, on the nonfiction side, on the self-help side, they do want to narrate their own.
Right.
So that's good to know. Okay. So the important thing is have a professional production and make sure that, we're going through here. We're getting the professional production done with you guys. You're making sure that all the things are happening the way they're supposed to happen. Then how do indie authors, let's talk about strategies then for how you grow listenership and sell more books.
Okay. So say you're going to do an audiobook and you have not the faintest idea how to market that audiobook. And so what I would suggest is to go and find a newly released audiobook in your genre, a popular newly released audiobook in your genre, and then find that author's social media sites and see how that author is promoting that audiobook.
That's a great idea.
So just do that again. Newly released in your genre as an audiobook. Go find what that person is doing and take notes and copy. We're all beggars and thieves out there. You know what I mean? Copy it.
Yes, I do.
Yes. And that's really the biggest thing that I can say for how to approach this is see who the successful ones out there in your genre are and how they're doing it. And
That's a great
just,
tip.
yeah. So that's important.
Well, one of the things we didn't cover that just reminded me of is once you've gone through the production now and it's done and it's complete and the author says, yes, we are good to go.
Right.
What do y'all do next then? Can people go down the route of self-publishing or publishing with you guys, or how does that part work?
So they have self-published this audiobook, that they've paid for this production themselves. They are the rights holder of this book. They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
I then send them our distribution agreement and have them take a look at it and see all the different retail sites, library sites, and school sites. If they want to distribute with us, they can do it. It's an 80-20 split. They get 80% of all cash that comes into us from these distributors, and we get 20%. And I look at the 20% as an admin fee, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, because it's a lot of work doing the metadata, everything else. So I send them a metadata form to fill out the information, and I send them the distribution agreement. And they send me back that filled out and signed, and also the cover art. Perfect. So I need the cover art from them. And then we upload this to all the sites, and they get a quarterly statement and a quarterly check for any money that comes in.
And, I want to put on my publishing hat for a second here and just say, I hear a lot of people in self-publishing groups advise people not to distribute through other companies that take a cut and to do it all on their own. And you absolutely can do that. You absolutely will get a quality product that you can go and upload through wherever you want to do it all by yourself. But to Diane's point about all the different places that they are distributing to and managing it, and even the metadata, making sure that the right categories, that the right keywords, all of these things, like that's a level of expertise that a first-time author, even second or third-time author, may not have. So my pitch here for anybody would be that it's worth that 20% for what they're going to do for you in terms of making sure that your book is placed and put out properly, because you're going to want to be more than just on Amazon. Right.
Here's the thing. When you distribute with us, why don't you can sell a digital download of your book from your website. Mm-hmm. You can do that yourself. So you've taken care of that for your personal, okay? And then you can do a square box thing for your social media that has your cover art, and below it you can put something like audiobook. My audiobook has just been released. Mm-hmm. It's available on Audible, Overdrive, Hoopla, audiobooks.com, Storytel, and you let the whole world know where it is. Yeah. And so say they go to the library and they check it out on Overdrive. Well, if it's available at a library, that library has paid for your audiobook. So that's a sale right there. So I would say go wide, put it everywhere, and sell it on your website too. You can do that. There's no limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The more places, the more money.
Exactly.
Quite honestly.
Exactly. And I wanted to mention that Apple Books has been like doing kind of a slow rollout of an audiobook thing. They're trying to get away from the name iTunes so that you just now go to the Apple Books app and you can buy audiobooks there. And so they're trying to kind of take a little piece of the pie away from Audible. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a subscription. You can go to your iPhone. You can buy an audiobook right from your iPhone. Awesome. So that's new, but that's a whole nother outlet for your audiobook.
Yeah. Yeah. I think distribution is one of the things that I don't think most new authors really, really have an understanding for how much of a pain in the butt it can be until they get out there and start trying to do it.
It's a lot of it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. I mean, I'm very anal about metadata. I mean, I really am. I'm just like, it goes through it's almost like our metadata also goes through quality control. Because by the time it gets to me, it better be perfect. You know what I mean? And I'm very interested in, when you're filling out your information, and give me a little author bio. Give me an author bio. Give me anything that I can use, because I'll use everything. Yeah. Give me 3 BISAC codes related to what you think your book is like. Sci-fi, fantasy, YA, whatever. I want as much information to put out there.
Yeah, can you
discoverability?
Right. Can you describe just a little bit more for anybody who's newer what metadata means?
Metadata is the information that I put out into the world about your book. The title, the subtitle, the author, the narrator, the running time, the copyright, the author bio, any awards that this book has received, any reviews this book has received. And that is the information that fills up when a library gets your book. They want to see this information. They want to see if you've gotten some reviews or if you got an award, publicize that. Let people know, So, yeah.
Okay, so maybe not the last question.
Synopsis is really important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what then is the timeline from the time someone comes to you and says, okay, I'm ready to do my book in audio from start to scratch?
Depending on how long the book is, the audiobook's going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, that's not too bad.
If we find your narrator like that for you, that narrator is available and not on any other books at that moment, then we'll get them started right away. And from that point to the very end, 6 weeks max.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then it can be published immediately upon the completion of the audio files.
Absolutely. That can, after you sign off on it and after we get the final payment and you say, go ahead and distribute it out into the world, it'll go into the next upload. So that would probably be like the next week.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
That's great. That's really not long at all.
And then almost all of the distributors take 7 days to upload the book. Audible, 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Audible, 2 weeks. And Kobo's usually 2 weeks because first it has to go through Overdrive, and then Overdrive sends it over to Kobo since Rakuten owns Kobo and Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
When people are distributing their audiobooks, do you see things that the libraries won't take, or, I mean, in general, if it's distributed out there, is it how does that part work with the libraries in particular?
Well, you would think that the libraries wouldn't take a lot of erotica, but erotica is my best-selling thing in the libraries. And that's, yeah. In audio, because people can't see what you're doing, right?
Oh, so it makes it feel less dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you would think that erotica, that they would say, no, but no, it's some of my best selling is erotica.
That's so true, because you're not sitting there with the cover of this half-naked man.
No. Like Naughty Little Secret or Watch Me or Voyeur or Shame. Those are just some of my titles. Those are my best sellers. Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that you guys do the quarterly payouts, and in general, on average, how long does it take for an author to see their audiobook really start to pick up steam?
It really depends on how much marketing effort they put into it. That's really the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Because I wish I could give you some magical, number about that, but it really depends on how much they promote it. And also, I noticed that even a year or two will go by, and if an author says, "Hey, I'm doing a 3-pack deal on, if you buy the ebook so and so," I'll follow what they're doing in their marketing for their ebook and see the audiobook sales go up. Mm-hmm. Because people say, I don't want an ebook. Let me just go buy that on Audible or wherever. So yes. Yeah. So it all kind of blends together,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And also publishing another book will, I'm sure, generate lots for the original books.
Exactly.
So what about the international marketplace? How's that going?
It's completely exploding right now, especially Northern Europe. Mm-hmm. One of my distributors, Storytel, that one is a really, really aggressive company where they're moving outside of just Northern Europe, and they're doing the United Emirates, they're doing Singapore. So yeah, it's wide open right now. It's a very exciting time.
Are you seeing books in English hitting these markets hard, or do people have to?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. And they're, the audiobook, if it was a simple a la carte kind of thing where you would just go and buy the book, that would be a very simple way to understand how you're making your sales, but it's not that way anymore. They've made it more complex. You're now getting paid by how long someone listens to your book. That's the European marketplace. That's what they're doing with Storytel.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone listens to your book only for 3 chapters, then they put that with someone else that listened to your book for 3 chapters, and then someone else that listened to another 3, and that equals 1 audiobook.
Oh.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. And so, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Europe is 2 years ahead of America digitally. I think that model is going to be coming over to America too.
So even if say your book is, I don't know, $17.99 on Audible, so you no longer get a split royalty. It's no longer like you get 60% no matter what. You're going to get paid based on how much they listened.
You're still going to get like a, say one of my European is a 50-50 split, you'll still get that, but you're not getting paid when someone just listens to 3 chapters. You're not getting paid for the whole book. You see, they're looking at it like it's a digitized marketplace.
Okay.
Where everything they can see everything people are doing with your audiobook, which is so bizarre, you know? and so they feel like that's how they're going to be paying people. If you're only listening to 3, you're only paying for 3, It's kind of odd, and I think it is going to be the model moving to America in a couple of years.
Yeah, wow.
But there's subscription only. There's a la carte. There's combined payments of all these different things. There's all these different things that are happening in distribution. It's not one flat way of doing stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the important takeaway is that in 3 years from now, audiobooks are going to be like what happened in the podcasting industry, where it went from hardly anybody had podcasts to now everybody under the sun, including me, has a podcast. And so it was a lot easier for people 5 years ago to build their podcast audience because people were starting to listen, but there weren't so many podcasters out there. And I think we'll see the same thing in audiobooks. So now's the time. I mean, do your audiobooks, get them out there before the market is so saturated that it's just as hard as it is to sell a book on Amazon,
I think that, to be honest with you, I think that you're going to see something big happening where, in my opinion, an Amazon/Audible is going to buy Spotify.
Oh.
And therefore your music and then your audiobook will go in one place.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that big is going to happen. It just looks like that's where the market is moving now.
Right.
So that you're basically saying, Alexa, I want to buy this audiobook, blah, blah, blah. And it comes through that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we already know that the Alexa guys want to corner every market on everything. So
yeah. I think that's where the model is moving, that it's going to be kind of like a one-stop shop where you'll have it in your car. You talk to your car and say, I want to go ahead and get that audiobook for me.
Yeah.
That's where it's moving very fast.
Well, and they were telling us about some other things too, like say you are listening to the Harry Potter books and then in your car with your Alexa, and then you'd be able to tell Alexa that you want to go, if they've created like a character breakdown or something. So you can say, I want to go learn more about the characters and go. I mean, like there's just all these crazy things that will be happening in particular with fiction books, but it's an exciting time. It's the right time to get in on it and not wait until you're like, man, I wish I'd done my audiobook 5 years ago when Diane told me it was going to be what everybody's doing.
Yeah. Alexa, do you work with a lot of people that do nonfiction?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. And so are they self-help books mainly?
Mostly, yes. Yes. And we have a lot of memoirs, self-help, and children's books.
Okay. Because I was just saying with the self-help marketplace, that's just a whole wide open field as far as how in addition to all the stuff we've talked about, how else you can market that. Because you've got an audience that you go and speak to, you know. And my best-selling nonfiction are people that are out on a circuit.
Absolutely.
Because their sales are phenomenal. So as many types of speaking engagements that you can set up or be invited to, get yourself invited to, have at it, because people listen to you, then they tell their girlfriends, then it just like ricochets off like that.
Yeah.
And I will say that another thing that I'm finding out, and I'm just telling you my best-selling books for indie pub people, the majority of my indie pub people, in the 95%, they have a job.
Yeah.
They have a job. So this is on the side, right? And so the ones that are the most successful have been smart enough to get a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. And they have been smart enough to get a virtual assistant who is proficient in social media.
Right.
And so they pay that person while they're doing their job and having their life and everything, and they communicate with that person, and the sales take off. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
those are my most successful.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be telling people about your book a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And most people, when they get done their audiobook, they're just like, hey, enough. You know, I just go to something else, right? You can't do that. This is just like your ebook came out. You've got to do the same kind of marketing. And so keep that in mind, that it's a process. It deserves as much attention as your ebook got.
That's so true. You know, it's funny because I feel like I have made it very, very apparent to everyone in my life that I have written and published books. But it's amazing how many people still don't know, or how many people you meet along the way or add as Facebook friends or whatever, or they're new to you if you're not constantly promoting. Every time I publish a book, I get at least 5 messages from people on, congratulations on publishing your first book. And I'm like, thank you. So the point is, you have to be continuously telling people, because they don't know, or they don't hear, they're busy in their own lives, or they, you know, weren't thinking about it at the time because whatever. But you have to promote all the time. Not on your Facebook personal profile, because that's against Facebook terms and conditions, but get a business page, get your business page up and going, and you can share from your business page to your personal profile.
Hang out with younger people that are really good with Instagram, that know how to like do these like back end links that link to your author page, that you can sell your audiobook right there. I'm telling you, one share of that for the universe. There you go.
Okay. Do you have any last tips for us about what people need to know before they start the audio process? Is there anything in particular they need to do to prepare differently, or do they just send over their final book once you've come to your agreement? Or
that's so important, Alexa. We want the final manuscript. You know what I mean?
Like, no more changes.
We don't want people going, on chapter 13, I decided to take out 3 sentences. No, we have a narrator with an engineer. These are our engineers, and our directors are degreed engineers and directors. They are with that narrator. That's 3 people working. You can't mix up like that. You can't stop the whole thing. So yeah, final manuscript delivered as a PDF. That's all we ask. Just give us the final manuscript as a PDF, and we can take it from there. And then also put some effort into any kind of notes that you want the narrator to have, you know, any notes. And if you're doing a nonfiction book and you want to be the narrator and you're in Chicago, we'll communicate with you about our partner studios and set you up there. I mean, we do that for authors all the time, all over Canada, Europe, you know.
So see, this is fantastic. You can narrate your own book and go through a professional production company and not have to worry about all the rest of it.
Yeah, because we usually have a director with you, so that some people are like, this is my first audiobook, even though I'm a successful business writer and I've been doing this is my first audiobook that I've done myself. And so you have to have a director, and they usually request a director, especially for like the first day at least, you know? So yeah.
It's a lot to know. Audio is quite different than, how close you get to the microphone, how far away you are, what you're doing, how you pronounce things, or all those types of things. I'm sure are things that your director help the authors go through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of work. Let me tell you, I've done it before, Alexa. I'm terrible at it, and I never want to do it again. And it makes you feel sorry for their director that they have to go, Diane, one more time. Diane, Diane, one more time. You know?
Put on your patient's hat is really
I'm like, I can't take it anymore, And the professional narrators, the voice actors that are around me at the studio, I do this to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are so good, and they can do. I have one guy that did 18 voices in one book. That's insane. Wow. Oh yeah, and I'm just, when I see him, I go, I am not worthy, because they're so talented, Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been great information, a lot of information about the whole audiobook process. We'll have all the links so that people can head on over to ListenUpIndiePub and get more information about how to start the process and so on and so forth. I appreciate your time. Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
If anyone wants to contact me directly, Diane at listenupaudiobooks.com, and just put in the subject line, Alexa's conference, I have a question.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I know you were a little under the weather today. I appreciate you taking time to be with us and to tell us all of this great stuff.
Thank you very much, Alexa.
And you all are actually offering a coupon code for participants of the summit, correct?
Yes.
So we'll have that in it as well. So if you're worried about cost, they are going to give you a little bit of help on this.
Super.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.